Alrighty, so we got USA Mission 4 but Deathless. So for this one, it's going to be a little bit different compared to the other Deathless videos we've done, because I've asked for help from our audience, basically asking them to give me some suggestions as to what set of rules are we going to do for Deathless Mission 4. So obviously we can't lose any units, but we got 5 different comments here, so I'm going to read through all 5 comments as well, that way everyone gets some airtime as well. So starting off with Turkmen 2005, use only air. So for that challenge, that can't be done because I can't build airfields in this mission, unfortunately. If you were to tell me to, basically do it with A10 strikes, then that would be totally doable. So you could say in a way that I have accomplished that challenge, because what you're seeing here is basically going to be an A10 spam. Now, next comment is coming from ACV6086. I'd say to use only Rangers for the attack, but I'm not sure if that's even possible. So I would say it's probably not possible, because once you get your Rangers crossing that bridge, or even a Ranger paradrop, it would mean that eventually you would get swarmed by GLA units, so I don't think your Rangers would be able to hold up. And not to mention, the range of the GLA units is going to be longer than your Rangers too. Again, if you were to combo the Ranger attack with some A10 strikes, maybe use the A10s to take out the most threatening buildings, I would say then it would be doable, but Rangers just on their own, no go. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do USA Mission 4 Deathless twice. So the first time is going to be my idea, and I thought that my idea was a little bit bland and boring, a little bit too easy. That's why I asked for help from the audience, not because it's too hard or anything, it's just I was looking for something harder than what I put out there. So yeah, the first attempt is going to be me, and then the second attempt is going to be a comment from the audience, their challenge. Now what we're doing here at our base is I've set up 3 command centers, 1 at each bridge, and I took a while to actually get my strategy center up. I kept mixing around the positioning because I wanted to go bombardment with the strategy center, and I was like, wait, no, the cannon's on the other side. So I was like, damn it, I gotta reposition the strategy center. So I eventually get my bearings on that. Now, the reason why I want bombardment instead of search and destroy is because the cannon on the end of the bombardment is going to be capable of destroying some of those rocket buggies and scud launchers that come my way. Now, the challenge here is I'm not going to cross the bridge with any of my units that start off at the base. So pretty much any unit that can attack the GLA base is going to be either the CIA agents that are scattered on the map or Ranger paradrops. Now, general powers are going to be allowed for this one too, so A10 strikes are going to be plentiful here. So while we wait on our defense to get established here, let's read another comment. So we got SKL, who had a few ideas. They said, I was thinking of no production, no Burton, but I think it's not possible. I agree, I don't think it's possible. The only thing that would make sense to me without building buildings and without building units would be a Humvee rush, but the best spot to really do the rush would be on the far left side where the palace is, but there's a lot of demo traps plus a stinger site. If you were to try to rush through the middle or the right side of the base, then the tunnel networks will pop out a bunch of units, so I think the far left side would be your best bet, but I don't think that you'd be able to break through quick enough. I think the GLA would be able to get their units out and then start destroying it. So to give you a rundown on my defense, I have 3 command centers which will act as meat shields for each bridge. Now I do have a paladin tank as well as an Avenger here, so the Avenger is going to be for counteracting the rocket buggies plus the scud launchers that try and attack that command center. Now the paladin tank can actually destroy some of the GLA units that cross this bridge too. So I'm keeping him in reserve, that way I can basically decrease the amount of damage that this command center takes from the GLA forces. Now the strategy center has got the bombardment, so I already mentioned that the bombardment will have enough range to take out some of those rocket buggies too. Now it seems that force firing the bridge or force firing the other side of that bridge is going to be more effective than just targeting the units individually. So I do eventually figure that out. So we will be able to defend this command center. A lot of the GLA attacks will happen on the middle bridge at this command center. The northern command center will get attacked by GLA propagandists. Now the propagandists aren't that strong as well, and I do have 2 Pathfinders, Colonel Burton, and a bunch of Rangers inside that tower as well. so they are going to be strong enough to deal with some of the GLA forces that are on that northern side. Now, as for the bottom bridge, not a lot of attacks happen there, so I don't really need the dozer to be at the bottom bridge to repair. The auto repair from the command center will be sufficient at keeping that command center alive. So for this mission, we also get some USA reinforcements at the 10, 20, and 30 minute mark roughly. So we're going to have something to look forward to very shortly, because we do need the reinforcements to go inside that tower to reinforce my defense at this middle bridge here. We're also going to get a Tomahawk too. Now the Tomahawk is actually going to be very helpful too, because the strategy center can't cover every one of those GLA units, especially the 2 rocket buggies and the Scud launcher at the back. That's why we need the Tomahawk, so then he can get a little bit closer compared to the strategy center and then take out those Scud launchers and rocket buggies that the strat can't get to. Now we did get the rank 3, and we're going to use that rank 3 A10 right away, and we're going to go for the Scud Storm. So using the satellite scan, it's going to reveal the Scud Storm and it's going to activate the timer. Now the Scud Storm has got a 5-minute timer. Triple A10 Strike is going to have a 4-minute timer on it for cooldown. So we're going to be able to destroy the Scud Storm with our next A10 Strike, so long as we remember to actually use the A10 Strike on time as well. That's another thing. So since we got the first batch of reinforcements, we got 3 missile defenders. They're going to go inside the tower next to the command center at the middle bridge, so that's going to be a very big help at dealing with the GLA units that try and attack that middle command center. Now my strategy center, I can use that to focus on the longer range units like the rocket buggies and the Scud launchers. The Paladin tank, I won't need to use him as much. And the Tomahawk, I can use the Tomahawk to get to the Scud launcher and the rocket buggies that stay further back away from the range of the strategy center too. Now there is a risk with the Tomahawk. If I do make any moves on the Scud launchers and then there's more GLA units, they could go after the Tomahawk, and the Tomahawk's not that strong of a unit too, so I gotta basically pick my battles when it comes to dealing with those longer range units that are out of range from my strategy center too. So we do have 1 Scud launcher that is going to be at the back, so I do need to attack it with my Tomahawk here. Now this Scud launcher specifically, it's going for like the dead center of that command center, so the Avenger seems like he can't get to that Scud launcher to you know, basically disable that missile, so I am taking damage. I did get the repair ability as well from my general powers, so I ended up repairing both my Dozer and my Avenger too. My Avenger's got the battle drone to repair it, but my Dozer doesn't have drones, so I gotta make sure that my Dozer stays alive too. I could also get my Dozer over to a war factory and then heal up my Dozer that way, but you know, I would have to have a war factory that's close enough, or I would have to leave the command center unattended and then take some damage and rely on just the auto heal to repair that command center for X amount of time. So since it's smooth sailing for now, we're going to go back to the comments. So to read the rest of SKL's comment, he also said the other idea that came to mind is no using starting units to attack, and that's basically the same idea I had thought of. I'm not using any of my units here to actually attack, I'm only using them to defend. So I think SKL and I were kind of on the same wavelength there. I also used my A10 Strike on that Tunnel Network, Stinger Sight, and Scud Storm to finish it off too. I was hoping to just get all 3 triple whammy there. Now other ideas from SKL is going to be, the other version is just no Burton and Pathfinders, but rescuable CIA is fair game. Yeah, not. I guess that's kind of doable. I mean, even if you were to do like a rush with like Humvees and Paladins and all of that, you could probably do that with without Burton and those Pathfinders pretty easily. Really depends on how you go about rushing. Now I did get that rank 5, gone for Leaflet and double Ranger Paradrop. So Leaflet to disable the GLA defenses as well as GLA units, and then Ranger Paradrop if we want to use the Rangers to move in for cleanup on the GLA base. I'm not going to use the Rangers to attack the GLA base whilst they've got those arms dealers to actually, you know, put out the units to kill off my Rangers, so that's a no-go. And finally, the last part of SKL's comment was, couldn't think of something interesting, maybe no active general powers, it's just throwing darts blindly at this point. Yeah, that was exactly my problem. I just like, what can I do to actually increase the difficulty of this mission? I really couldn't think of anything exciting. That's why I came to the audience in the first place. Now, other comments. This one was an interesting one. Red Castle fan. Okay, this might seem crazy, but what about doing missions blindfolded? Everything else is fair game. Any cheese, any busted shreds or ideas, just can't see. Honestly, I don't think I am that level of gamer. I know there are people that have played games blindfolded. Like, for example, I know there's a lot of people that have done Super Mario 64. That's a good example of a game that's been done blindfolded. But yeah, I don't think that's me. If it was something sort of like I was wearing a blindfold, but I had like someone behind me, and we were just playing like hot or cold, it was like, okay, is my A10 close to the war factory? Am I hotter or am I colder? That might be an interesting video idea, but just playing it blind, I don't think I'm, I don't think I have the skill level for that. So we're going to use our next A10 strike on the arms dealer as well as the palace. So you might have noticed that that arms dealer specifically has taken some damage. So the reason why that arms dealer has taken damage wasn't because of me, it was because of the GLA propagandists that are in the top right corner. So the Terrys from the GLA propagandists can be run over by the GLA vehicles in this base here. So that in turn will mean that those GLA propagandist Terrys will damage those GLA buildings as well. Now the GLA at the base won't repair their buildings, so it does mean it's easier for me to destroy the GLA buildings with my future A10 strikes as well. Now we're just going to continue to use our Tomahawk as well as Strategy Center to pick off those long range units. We've also got a bunch of missile defenders inside that garrison building. Don't have to worry about toxin tractors either. They're going to go for my command center, not the garrison tower, so I don't have to worry about taking a death there too. So like I mentioned before with Akbi's comment, you can do this if you were to combo your ranges along with your A10 strikes, but in this case I decided to go purely A10 strikes to beat this mission. Now, if I was going to use ranges to do this and combo it with those A10s, then I would actually use the ranges to go after the propagandists, but I would use a couple of A10s to actually destroy the radio station. That way, they won't spawn any more GLA units. Now, from this point on, we're just going to use our A10s to go after the arms dealers, then we'll go for the barracks, go for the supply center, and then the command center. But I'm going to try and make this a lot easier, so we're just going to transition because you're really not missing anything from this point on. It's just the GLA sending their units my way, and then it dies down with the attacks after each arms that are destroyed. So this is basically how I would destroy the GLA, just using A10 strikes, but again, if we were mixing in those ranges, then we'd be using the A10s to also deal with like base defenses and GLA vehicles, and then just using the ranges as the cleanup crew. So we're going to do USA Mission 4 Deathless again. So this time it's not my idea, and the idea came from Michael Fawns 1479, who said, Colonel Burton makes this mission way too easy to do Deathless if you know. Without using Colonel Burton at all makes it very hard. How about no using Colonel Burton, and the only money you can collect from is captured oils. You'd still have to build a supply center to build a war factory, but not collect on it. So for this one, we're going to go for a double supply center setup. So we're going to stop building the command center. I want to go double supply center because I want to get the 2 Chinooks as fast as possible here. So I can delay my command center because we don't need any general powers until later on. We need to actually destroy stuff in order to actually get to the A10 strike as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to put an Avenger, a Humvee with 5 Rangers, a Crusader, a Paladin tank. They're all going to go inside the Chinook, and we're going to go all the way off to the left, and then we're going to hook north as well. So we might take a little damage from the rocket troops here. That's fine, that's no big deal. We'll definitely take damage from the Stinger site coming up, but what we don't want is the quad cannon getting into the mix here. If the quad cannon gets into the mix, we're screwed. So we do almost lose our Chinooks. Not the best evac as well, because our tanks got put on the right side, and then my Avenger and Humvee got put on the left. Ideally, you'd want all those vehicles to stay together, but we had to work with it. So we're going to use our tanks to go for the quad cannon. it's really only the Paladin that's doing all the work here. So I almost lost my Paladin tank right away, and I went straight for drones as well. I thought Battle Drone and Hellfire drones, that's going to speed up the process. And we got the Avenger as well, who's got the laser that's going to increase the fire rate of everybody else. So for this strategy, I took a little bit of inspiration from a YouTube channel called SPL, which does speed runs of the campaign missions in 0 Hour. So it's a very similar strategy, just very different method, because in their strategy they utilize Colonel Burton for one. The other thing is they use 2 Humvees instead of me using an Avenger and a Humvee. Now they also did a Chinook with 1 supply center, so they did the Chinook that would spawn from the supply center, and then they'd build another Chinook from that same supply center, whereas I just did a double supply center build. That way I could quickly get both Chinooks to then transport all my vehicles around. So yeah, basically same strat, just slightly different method. Now what we're doing right now, we've got the laser pointer with our Avenger, just speeding up that process of destroying the palace. I can't capture the palace, so another thing to also mention when it comes to capturing buildings, it's definitely possible to capture the buildings, but it's kind of risky at the same time, because the GLA units that are still in this base could then get attracted to those buildings and then shoot them. And the other thing is the units inside the tunnel network can also pop, so that's why I opted for just using the vehicles to destroy the buildings rather than doing any capturing of buildings. So it does take a little bit longer to actually get to where we want to go and destroy everything. If we had Colonel Burton, we could basically divide up the responsibility, have Colonel Burton deal with things on the right and then have the vehicles deal with things on the left, and then that way we could really speed up the process. SPL, when he did the speed run, he did it in like 3 minutes, so it does take a little bit longer without Colonel Burton. So once we finish off this arms dealer, we're going to have access to the A10 strike next. So with the A10 strike, we're going to want to use it on the Scud Storm, because the Scud Storm is a building that's required to be destroyed in order to clear this mission out. So we could have also used the A10 strike in between the barracks and the Scud Storm, do a little bit of damage to both, but we still have these vehicles here which can pick off the barracks anyway. So that's going to be how we did Michael's USA 4 Deathless Challenge. If you enjoyed this one, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I do have a playlist if you want to check out any of my other content. I'm Crackler, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!